Hi everybody, I'm Aldo Cattano, CEO of and founder of Windtracx. We are harnessing high altitude wind with our Aerodynamics drone. So I would like to talk about the wind gradient over the sea mainly, because here the wind gradient goes to 100%, so where the wind is not changing anymore intensity, at 280 meters. So it's really important to place our system at that altitude. Who are at the moment using high altitude wind? Mainly soft kite, because all the other systems are placed on the deck of a ship. Now, soft kite have really a lot of pro. Mainly, they are really light and they can be really stored in a small space because when they are not in usage, you can really compress the material. But on the other side, they have a passive system. Mainly, they depend completely on the wind for deployment, so takeoff and also for landing. In this period, it takes 50 minutes. They are in a static position. So if the wind goes away there, then the kite will splash into the water. Our system is an active system. So we have propeller and drone so that we don't care if there is or not wind. To get there, to have propellers and motor, we need to have a rigid structure. So instead of having a soft kite, passive, we have an active system and rigid. And we have also much better lift characteristic. Now, the scope of our Aerokite drone, so is having an active system, dynamic flight, maximize traction, safe, reliable, and minimize space on the ship deck when in storage. The idea was coming that we want to use a standard drone. That technology is so well known everywhere and it's so simple and safe. Secondly, we want to have really a lot of lift and to the wind. So we were putting two wings in a like a biplane on our drone. At the end, we were finding out that it was really simple to connect both together, and so we had a really fast system. We were having a maximum payload during flight thanks to the wings and also maximum maneuverability. Now we would like to make a comparison between all the WASP system nowadays. The big difference is between system on the deck, system in flight, that will be static flight or dynamic flight. So if we look at the soft sail with a 100 square meter, and so lift coefficient is normally 0.7, we'll get at 30 meter altitude, so with this wind speed, a 3.1 kilonewton. And this is our reference number. We want to get always the same. If we then go to a suction wind, we see that we need only 1/10 of that surface, mainly because the lift coefficient is much higher. If we go to rotor sail, then we again have a lift coefficient also higher. So at the end, we only need 8.8 square meter of our sail. And then if we look instead of on the deck, we go to look at 300 square meter what happening in the altitude, but we use a static flight. Then, okay, we have better, higher wind speed, and so we need 15% less surface than at the sea level. But it's not that better. If then we go in a dynamic flight, then the nominal, the apparent wind speed is increasing much more because we are not rigid with the deck, but we can fly. And in this way, we can only use 1/5 of the 100 square meter. Still, we are the double of a suction wind, but it's already much better. But then if we go with our Aerokite drone in a dynamic flight, then we have higher wind speed, we have higher nominal apparent because we are in dynamic flight, and lift coefficient is much better than a soft kite. And so, thanks to that, we need only 2.8 square meter, so one third of a rotor sail. That's really a good result. Which are our requirements? But we want to have for sure maximum traction, and we want to have aerobatic maneuvers. We want to have the structures as light as possible, high redundancy, so we are always in a safe situation. We need to have the good compromise between lift capabilities during traction and during recovery. The takeoff has to be also able to happen also in really bad conditions, so until Beaufort 8, and we have to minimize takeoff and landing time with our active system, thrust and control. We want for sure to have folding wings for storage, we have minimum space, and the ability also to fly without tether and motors. So if the tether break or there is a malfunction on the motors, and for sure we need then to be completely autonomous. Why? Because we don't want to there is anybody that has to control the drone, has to be nothing be part of from mankind. Now, how to get maximum traction? Airbus and Boeing were testing, and the best geometry is to have a box wing. Box wing has the highest power, and is given the power is given by the efficiency. So lift divided drag. So box wing geometry has the minimum drag. What does it mean that the box wing? So think about a plane with no wingtip, as all commercial plane has now. Having no wingtip means that you have really a big tip vortex. If you put a wingtip there, you see that the tip vortex decrease, so the drag, overall drag decrease. If you think of this tip that goes on and closes completely the wing, then at the end you have no tip vortex, and this is really good because it decreases a lot the drag down here. Now, another important comparison is that a soft kite to have the same characteristics need to have much larger wingspan. So we can have less moment of inertia. That means that we are faster to make our turns. This trajectory is called lemniscate. So if we can have a smaller lemniscate amplitude, means that we can always stay in the best position for having the maximum traction. Now, traction, I was putting now here 3 different systems, so 6-meter wingspan, 8.5 and 17. And with that, you can see you have 100 kilowatt of traction, 200 kilowatt, and 1 megawatt. As you see here, the power is going up and down. Why? Because during straight flight, you increase the speed, and then the power and the traction goes up. And during the turn, then you are lowering speed, and then power goes much down. So that the reason why you have a peak traction that is important to consider for the structural point of view. Then you have the average traction and the average traction per cycle. That is a bit slightly slower. Now, aerobatic maneuvers, why that? Mainly because we are all the time doing aerobatic. We are all the time making turns. And for that reason, biplane is the best type of configuration for doing aerobatics, as you see always at the air show when there are aerobatic flight. In fact, our system has a double wing as a biplane. Now, why we need to have extreme lightweight? Mainly because if we want to increase the size, we are going to increase the volume, and the volume is proportional to the weight. Volume is going up with a cubic. Instead, the lift is proportional to the surface, so quadratic. So at a certain time, we cannot increase the surface too much. For doing that, we were deciding to take out the fuselage. We didn't need it. And also the tail. As you see, this is a plane without the tail, the horizontal surface, and it was anyway flying correctly. We want to use full composite material, and also the box wings. If you think in a normal standard wing, if it's not enough rigid at the junction here, then if there are too much forces, it will start vibrate and oscillate always higher, and you will at the end you will break. If you have a closed structure, this it's almost never happening. So because there is no flutter, you can anyway decrease the rigidity and so the weight of the overall flying object. Another important thing, we want to have redundancy. Redundancy means also reliability, so safety. So we have a lot of motors. Even if one breaks, uh, we anyway can, we will get in emergency. We have a feedback, but then we can anyway land safely. The same, we have a lot of control phases. So even if one doesn't work, anyway, we have all the others that can maneuver correctly. And we have these three configurations for a small scale, medium scale, and large scale aerokite drone. We did a lot of aerodynamic studies. We did a lot of CFD and also wind tunnel test. Now, in the wind tunnel test, we were then finding out that the best configuration was to have two rigid elements and two flaps with the same size. We were trying really a lot of configuration. Here on the right, you see a comparison between the wind tunnel test experiment in dots and the CFD. As you see, the CFD lift coefficient was a bit higher, but during stall was much worse. Instead, in reality, it was really nice stall. So it was the same slope going up and going down, and that's really good for flying characteristics. Anyway, we also did a lot of CFD, and we were using EOST University in Switzerland, and here is a comparison between efficiency with in wind tunnel test 2D and with CFD. The CFD was overestimate the drag. In the end, it was not that good, but reality, we were getting to efficiency of 80. That's really good because when you go to 3D, you will get efficiency of 40. And it was really nice result. Another important thing is that I want to also be able to take off and land in really bad condition. And that's the reason why we're making a patent design, this special arm with special features that were the drone is not connected directly with the tether but through bridles, so we're connecting to the drone also when we are landing, thanks to we were attaching to the bridles and then connect to the drone. In that way we were able to safely land without any possibility of destroy the drone in landing situation. Another nice thing was that we wanted to fly safely even if the tether was breaking and even the motor were not working. So we were making a lot of flight tests. Before we were making a lot of analysis and then we did a flight test. And here you can see that we were taking off all the motors. So it was gliding a bit, the glide rates was not that good, but at the end we were taking again the motor on and it was flying good. So we're really happy about the result. Now, moving on, we want to have the completely autonomous flight. So there were different types of flight from hovering, transition, dynamic flight, transition again, hovering and landing. And for that, we were using a dynamic model, taking account all the forces. Then we had the control layout, different between hovering controller and dynamic flight controller. And it was taking account a lot of different aspects, so navigation planning, altitude controller, attitude controller, and reference point. The reference point were changing all the time that the direction of the wind was changing. Then here there was simulation where all these different phases were taken in account, and also the wind, the speed was shown, altitude was shown, and our think of how to develop the thing was mainly to a model-based approach. So we were first making the modelization, then the simulation of the model, and then we were going using the same control data of that going in real flight testing. And then we had the only thing we had always to tune the control parameters. And here is on the left a simulation and the right a real flight, and it's really similar one to the other. And here I want to show how it was started. So here you see the hovering, then transition, dynamic flight, until we were releasing the tether fast, and then here we were making the shape, so in our dynamic flight. And so to show that we have really good result also in real flight. Now, thanks to this autonomous control, we were little by little optimize the system, so increase the flight time, because at the end we will go to, as soon as there is wind, we can always stay up there. But at the beginning it was not like that. And we were here in these two diagrams, we were showing what it was before and what it was after the improvement. And here in blue, it's a regeneration time. What does it mean, regeneration? Our propellers work also as micro wind turbine, and so we were able to, working in drag situation, to decrease the speed of the system, but also regenerate the battery on board. Green means that we were consuming less than 150 watt, and in red we were consuming more than 150 watt. At the beginning, you see that it was all dark red, so we were consuming really a lot, and little by little at the end, we were really all the time almost going in light green, so we were consuming really not that much energy, and there were also a few times that we were really regenerating, so producing electricity on board to regenerate the batteries. How we did that? Mainly, we need a lot of sensors, so a precise GPS, a precise LiDAR to measure the distance when landing, and also have a really good ultrasonic anemometer to really get data on board during flight. Now, also to get maximum efficiency, we were not using classical control, that is using PID, so proportional integrative derivative, but modeled predictive control. In this way, we were able to coupling the two systems in one, and with that, we were able to improve the control action and get to the global optimum, so maximization of traction. Also increase the robustness of the system. Thank you very much and hope to get your comments.